Cool. So, before Andrew Yang was a thing, before universal basic income was something that all of Twitter knew off the top of their head, for COVID-19, for Xbox Series X, I don't even know if that applies, but I was wondering how you were going to convince the Minecraft generation that there was such a thing as poverty. Let me explain. So when I was a child, we had this thing called mental laziness. Mental laziness was this idea that you need to earn by thinking about the difficult things, making choices and considering things that are other people maybe don't want to think about. The difficult choices, so to speak. And if you weren't willing to put in the time to think about the difficult things, then you were mentally lazy. I guess the reason why they gave us that idea was because they knew that we were not going to be able to compete in the workplace physically. Because they knew that the people that we would be competing with in the workplace physically were much harder people from the desert. People, I call them brick people because they're made in the same place where they make bricks. You throw them down the stairs, they don't break. So, you gotta pardon me looking out because I don't know how to hold my environment accountable. So I'm in a space, and if somebody makes eye contact with me, or if somebody starts paying attention to me, I'm gonna notice, and I'm going to look and to see who's paying attention to me, and they might do this over and over and over again, and then I'll look like I'm all distracted. I don't know how to hold my environment accountable. It's an environment. So, a couple of years ago, I was looking at a YouTube video of Minecraft. Now, Minecraft these days is actually much more simple than it used to be because Minecraft had a lot more modifications. So there were a lot more complicated pieces of Minecraft that other people had created in Minecraft that it would be Minecraft. Like you could make a helmet that was a solar-powered helmet and it would allow you to fly. It would be an anti-gravity solar-powered helmet. And in order to make this anti-gravity solar-powered helmet, you'd have to make a pocket watch in Minecraft first. In order to make a pocket watch, you have to mine for a bunch of ore and find a bunch of things, like a bunch of jewels, and then you'd have to sharpen the jewels or something. There's a lot of different stages in order to make something like a pocket watch. And then you got to make solar panels, then you got to make a helmet. You basically, in Minecraft, you make things by putting different things together. And you could make very complicated things by putting a lot of things together that you had to make. So you'd have to make a pocket watch and make a helmet, make solar panels. In order to make solar panels, you'd have to make the ingredients for the solar panels. Then after you make all these separate items, then you'd have to make another item to put them together. And it was a very complicated process. So I watched somebody do this on YouTube, and this was like what they call rattling around in my head, so to speak. And I was thinking about self-worth, going to work, earning your keep, making a living. And I thought about, look, you hear it? You hear it? Look, it's so... My environment, although it's made of a lot of little pieces, it acts like it's one thing in a lot of different ways, in a few ways. One of the things that the entire environment is aggressive, specifically because they quiero papá. They want daddy hands, because they're bastards. They don't have no daddy. Now I have a biological father, and I have a relationship. No, you win. You win. The noise from the radio. Just now, I look stupid. No, you win. No, you win. You win. You win. There's no conspiracy. It's not like somebody hired. It's not like there's an orchestration of movement. It isn't that way. No, there's no conspiracy because there's no reality. Are you done? Okay, it's quieter. That's nicer. So I had this idea of like this very complicated video game in my mind, and I'd seen a lot of complicated video games in my time, but over the years, so to speak, I've seen a lot of like role-playing games, very complicated, and not fun, what they call grinding. But I hadn't seen a game like Minecraft where you're literally putting things together to make other things, and that's the whole game. So a couple of years ago, I was dealing with systemic unemployment, or like big time unemployment, the kind of unemployment that I don't even register as because I'm not even like looking for work anymore, so to speak. And I was thinking about this accusation of lazy. And I was like, well, working, physical work, that's something that's reserved for rich people. It is. You have to pay money to join a gym so that you could work. It's for rich people. And if you're looking for work, you'll find out that they guard the jobs with more guns than they guard the food. As soon as you get a job in 1995 at a grocery store, the first thing that you're going to interact with is a guarding of jobs with the union. You're going to like, oh, you want to join a union. So the idea that they guard the jobs with more guns than they guard the food, it shouldn't be strange to you at all. You should totally understand what I'm saying. So I was thinking about this mental laziness, video game. So I was thinking, how are you going to convince the Minecraft generation that there is such a thing as poverty? How are you going to convince a generation of children whose video games are more complicated than most full-time jobs? Ew. Somebody was like, okay, somebody was doing something, but it's not just recording me with their phone. It's not just that. When I was a child, I was like considered a weirdo, and I was a little bit socially ostracized. A little bit. Not that much, but a little bit. And I was definitely mocked or abused emotionally, that sort of thing. Definitely. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Enough. And there was a movie called Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy. There's 3 invasion movies, but the middle one is the most scary because it takes place in very normal settings. The newer one is like in hospitals and in military bases and on airplanes. And the old one is like black and white, so it's really not that scary. But the middle one, it takes place in like universities and apartment buildings and closets and hallways and doors and elevators, in park places and public places. So I found it very scary because I was already socially separated, and I was already being punished for being like emotionally alive. I was punished for not being bad enough. But these days, in the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the human beings got replaced by these humanoids that look like human beings, and they would shame emotional expression. Everybody was emotionless, and if you expressed emotion, you would be like, I don't know what happened. Everybody would grab you and they would force you to go to sleep, so that way that the alien pod could like take you. So I've sort of come to believe that every time I go to sleep that you eat me, but I go to sleep anyway. Why do you think that this body over here is counting money in my presence? Why do you think that is? It's like, look, money, 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 money. What do you think? Why do you think he's... If I grab that individual and drug them and electrocute them and torture them, there's not going to be any secret, any conspiracy. It's just the bodies. And these days, instead of like, in the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the aliens, they would go. But these days, they don't do that. They don't do that. They got a camera, and there's like a little circle in the camera, and they point it at you. So I'm really proud of myself. And my younger self is very proud of myself for how well I'm dealing. He's just yelling gay, 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 homo, homo, homo over and over. So my younger self is very proud of me for how well I'm dealing with this obvious alien invasion that you call adulthood. It's so fake. But, you know, I'm handling it a lot better than I thought I would, especially from watching the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I was really scared of growing up. And I was really scared of like something like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers happening. Like McCarthyism or like any kind of mob mentality, but McCarthyism was like what they call a witch hunt. It's you know, when you make it very easy to falsely accuse someone and when you make it very easy for those false accusations to have what seems like merit. It's one of the reasons why I thank you for not taking your children and grabbing them by the legs and hitting me with your children. And I thank you for not doing that because of how wrapped up y'all bodies be, or how obsessed thou art with utilizing the prison industrial system. It's energy efficient. Instead of having like a one-on-one physical altercation or having a meeting of the minds, a battle of the minds, it's a lot easier to just get yourself victimized and then use the prison industrial complex against another individual. I mean, hey, Jesus did it, didn't he? Didn't Jesus defeat the Roman Empire by getting himself arrested and crucified? He didn't defeat the Roman Empire by gathering a legion and fighting them. And the Roman Empire, as far as we know, you know, Italy and the Vatican is now all about Jesus. So when I see that you guys can't even stand next to each other without getting yourselves victimized by one another, I think of the idea of prima noctum that was brought to our attention in Avengers and in the movie Braveheart, where the Lord or the King would have the right to sleep with another person's wife on their wedding night. So at the beginning of the movie Braveheart, Mel Gibson and I don't remember the actress's name, but she was beautiful. They get married, and then in rides Longshanks, and he's like, I'm here to exercise my right as king, prima noctum. And he's like, and Braveheart's like, no, that's my wife, you can't. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. My hallucination at the corner of my ear is going, why not? It's a very fast out. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't a woman that gets married to a man desire to have sexual intercourse for the purposes of insemination with the king? Why not? Or with the royalty? Why wouldn't they want that? Why wouldn't they desire that? Why would they strongly have desires against that? What's wrong with that? That's what my hallucination's saying. Although I don't know if it belongs to me. It's like a projection. It's kind of like a holographic projection, but it's a holographic projection that assumes that all of reality is made out of hellfire. But it seems pretty solid to me. Everything seems pretty solid to me. So since so many people call Jesus Lord, does it really matter? So everyone's so Jesus, like everyone is so Jesus, that they can't even stand next to one another without getting themselves crucified to conquer the Roman Empire of the other person. You know, you're having a conversation with someone and you can sense that the only thing that they're doing is encouraging you to while out so that they can become victimized. And by becoming victimized, they'll have power over you. Now, it's only because I believe in Jesus Christ that I'm able to recognize this behavior. See, I already worship victimhood. I worship victimhood. I do. Just like you. Just like everybody. I worship victimhood. Except I worship the victimhood of Jesus Christ on the cross. So I'm not constantly trying to get myself victimized by others. Now, we're on the verge of a massive vaccination. So how are you going to pretend that you don't understand the very simple nature of an inoculation? How are you going to pretend like you don't understand that by believing in Jesus Christ first, you won't find yourself constantly trying to get yourself victimized by others? Because you already believe in Jesus Christ. You're already worshiping victimhood. And you're conscious and you're sentient about how you're worshiping victimhood. So you have like a mental, you're not ashamed of worshiping victimhood. And since you believe in forgiveness, one of the things that I noticed when I was younger was that people were unable to admit to themselves that they had done anything wrong. And constantly dealing with people who were unable to admit that they were wrong, it caused me to be like, well, what the intercourse is going on? Like, what the duck is happening? Why can these people who seem to function in every other way do not have the ability to function mentally when it comes to the case of their own wrongdoing? And I've thought about them and I observed them, and it was that they did not believe that there was such a thing as God. And they didn't believe that there was such a thing as love or forgiveness. So if you don't believe that there is such a thing as forgiveness, then you're going to be afraid of getting in trouble. So you're never going to admit that you did anything wrong. Because you don't believe that there is such a thing as not getting in trouble. And this cruel, mean, nasty, not honesty, nasty. There's some of used bodies that don't know the difference between nasty and honesty. Rhymes with tigress. Well, there's a competing religion over here. These guys, they worship the foreman, the job, and the holy paycheck. These guys right here. You see these guys? I call them brick people. Of course you do. Anyway, so you have failed to initiate your victimhood. So end of what is it called? Broadcast. End of broadcast. Believe in Jesus, the Lord Jesus Christ.